Alright everyone, we're going to show you maintenance of your Frontier snowblower. I have it on SB1164, but this should be the same for an 1148 or 1154. So the first thing we're going to want to check before we get out and start blowing snow is our shear bolts. So there's two shear bolts. The first one is if you've got you're facing towards the auger of the snowblower. Is on this corner panel here. Just flip this up, and then there's a shear bolt right here. You can see it where I've got it visible. So just check that for tightness. Make sure that that's working. That's also where one of our grease zerks is as well, just on the spline back in here. I will show you when we do the zerks. Then the other shear bolt is right where the PTO shaft attaches to the unit. So you just lift this guard off here, get it out of the way for the time being. And a shear bolt right here connecting the PTO shaft to the gearbox itself. So the next thing you're going to want to check, which is on the right hand side of the gearbox if you're facing back towards the auger, is the gearbox oil level. So that's this nut here. So it looks like it might be leaking a little bit on me, so I'm going to make sure to take that off. It's got enough a good oil level. And then make sure that it's back on there tight. All right, so the gearbox oil level was good. I cleaned up the area before I took the plug out. The way to tell if you need more oil is it should be sitting just on the bottom threads of the gearbox. It would be good to have a pan underneath here. In fact, I probably should have, since some looked like it had leaked out, so it was probably overfilled before I got this unit. Just to catch any excess if it drains out quickly. If that does happen, let it drain until it's sitting in the bottom of those threads, then you can put the plug back in. If just a little bit drips out very slowly, then it's at the right level, put the plug back in. However, if it doesn't drip out, you're going to want to, it's tough to see visually, so if you take a wire or something with a bit of a bend in it, you can put it in the gearbox and just use it to test the height and see if you have to add any. Mine was at a good level, so I don't need to add any. So with that, we will move on to greasing the zerks. So the first couple zerks are actually right off the gearbox here. So on the shaft, like all universal joints, there's one on the inside here. See if you can see that right here. That has to get greased, and then there's one here on the attachment back to the unit itself, and then there should also be one on the collar right here that you can grease. Then up on the other end, also one on the collar here that can get greased, and then like all U-joints, as I said, there's one inside here. It's going to be tough to see. You should know what a universal joint probably is, but just to make it easier to see, so it's down in there. So we'll get that greased as well. And then there's a few more on the actual unit itself that I'll show you once I get these ones greased up. All right, now that I have done the ones on the drive shaft, the other thing I did is I put a little grease from the gun on the inside of the PTO shaft to hook it up onto the spline of the tractor. When you're putting the PTO shaft together as well, you'll see in the picture of the manual I took, it's good to grease where the tubes slide onto one another as well once in a while, and it's got the recommended cadence on there. So on the back of the tractor here, on either side of where the auger sits, there's a zerk on top. So there's one right here, and then come to the other side, and there's one. It's tough to see because it's behind the chain, but it's right on top right there. So get those guys greased, and then if you remember when we checked the shear pins, there is one right on the shaft there. Here, I'll just grab the light. So there's one there that you can see right on the front, and then there's also one that you access through this little port here, which is tough to see, but it's part of the chain assembly. Let me see if I can get a better look here. So if you see there, there's a zerk hiding. Man, it's tough to get the light. There we go, if I shine from the bottom. You see there's a zerk right through that little port there. And that should be the last zerk that you have to take care of. And then after you're done that, really the last thing for maintenance is you want to do a little bit of just a check of the chain, you know, make sure it's still good, and then lubricate the chain as well. So I've got some chain lube that I'm just going to spray this with. The nice thing is if you don't have your PTO engaged, so I have my PTO, I have a mid mount and a rear PTO, so if I just have it on the forward mid mount PTO, the rear PTO spins freely, so I can actually spray it while turning the auger. Now be very, very careful when doing this because it turns the whole apparatus. You get clothes caught, the impeller into the unit turns as well, right? So make sure no one else is around. You know, make sure this is loaded on the floor or at least on blocks where you're doing it. Highly recommend you have it on the ground with the 3-point hitch all the way down. So once I get that done, that should be about it. And then I'll fire it up slow, just test it, make sure it works. The very last thing I'll probably do is just add maybe a little WD-40 just into this little, it's not quite a U-joint, it's like a articulating joint, just to make sure that it maneuvers correctly to turn the chute for me. And as you can hear outside, the wind's howling and the neighbor has asked me to make sure I get them snow blown out tomorrow morning, so that's why we're doing this prep job. Hope this helped. As always, make sure you're safe, make sure the tractor's on, off, parking brake, PTO's not engaged. You've got this thing on the floor, safety first. And if you're looking for the maintenance schedule for the snowblower, I'll include a picture at the end of this video. So thanks for watching.